Today, we'll take you into the royal world, where every smile hides a story waiting to be told. What you're about to hear in this video may have never been revealed this way before. Stay with us till the end. The royal life isn't always as beautiful as it seems, but today, we'll uncover the truth behind the palace walls. The last letter of a princess, a story of love and forgiveness. She had always moved through rooms like a soft sigh, leaving something gentle in the air wherever she went. People remembered the warmth of her hand, the way her laugh seemed to linger in the corners of a quiet room. Even beneath the glitter of crowns and ceremonies, she had kept a private garden of small mercies. It was there, among ordinary gifts and hidden notes, that the truest parts of her life lived. In the final autumn of her days, she wrapped a single sheet of paper in a plain envelope. She wrote slowly, as though each word might be the last seed she planted for those who would inherit her sorrow and her joy. The palace guards found the envelope tucked into an old mahogany drawer, beneath a stack of pressed scarves. The handwriting was steady but gentle, as if the pen itself trembled with memory. "To those I have loved," the letter began, "and to the world that loved me back." She did not write for the headlines, she wrote as a woman writing to other women, to mothers, daughters, friends. Her words spoke not of excuses, but of honest regret and quiet hope. She asked forgiveness in ways that were small and human, for sharp words, for hurried days, for moments she had been absent when presence was needed. There were passages that read like lullabies, meant to calm and to guide. "Take care of one another," she wrote. "Hold the small things with reverence. A cup of tea, an extra blanket, a hand held in the dark, these are the stitches of a life." She wrote of the weight of titles and the lighter weight of a shared joke. She described how she loved the sound of gardens after rain, and how she found courage in ordinary acts of kindness. To a distant friend she wrote, "I regret the silences, but I am grateful for every letter and laugh you offered." To a former lover she wrote with an almost tender clarity, "We were two people who tried to love in the bright glare of expectation. Forgiveness is the gift I give us both." Her sons read lines that ached with the uncomplicated truth of a mother's heart. "Be gentle with one another," she asked them. "Carry the best of me forward, and speak often of the small, good things." She did not ask for the world to remember her for splendor or scandal. Instead, she asked to be remembered for the tea she shared with a nervous volunteer, the time she stayed late to listen to a frightened nurse, the humble way she mended the hem of a child's outfit before a public appearance. Those who knew her closely said the letter felt like a final embrace. It did not erase pain. It softened it, giving grief a shape that could be held and understood. A reporter who had spent years chasing headlines that never truly captured her wrote later, "In that letter, I recognized a woman who loved as simply and fiercely as any of us, capable of bravery and tremor, joy and sorrow." Neighbors in the village where she sometimes walked said the letter made them recall small, private moments they had once believed only belonged to them. A woman who had handed her a vase in a shop remembered how the princess had thanked her as if gratitude were a rare jewel. The palace released a carefully worded statement, but it was the unsent words in the letter that traveled through the world like soft light. They reached tea rooms and garden benches, quiet corners where older women read and nodded, tasting memory at the edges. Many wrote back in their own ways, letters, bouquets left at memorials, notes tucked into books. A choir in a small town held a candlelit service where they read passages aloud, strangers held hands and felt less alone. There was one line in the letter that became a touchstone for those who had been hurt: "To forgive is not to forget, it is to choose peace for yourself." Women wrote that it helped them let go of grievances that had kept them awake for years. The letter also urged humility. If you stumble, apologize. If someone apologizes to you, receive it kindly. She reminded readers that courage also lives in admitting mistakes, and that strength is often quiet. Some skeptics dismissed the fuss as sentimental, but the women who had followed her life found in the words a mirror. They saw their own lives, the tightrope of duty and tenderness, reflected back with compassion. In morning groups where widows met for knitting and conversation, the letter became a topic of gentle discussion. They spoke of their own last letters, their own small gestures, and how the simplest acts can bind a family through generations. Her favorite scarf, its edges worn soft by years of use, was placed with care beside the envelope when it was displayed briefly for those who sought comfort. People stood quietly, as if approaching a bedside, and felt permitted to grieve and to smile at once. A schoolteacher adapted one paragraph into a lesson about empathy, and even children were taught that kindness matters more than a parade of pomp. The line, "Stitch your life with care," became embroidery on aprons and the motto on a local charity's pamphlet. Her sons took the letter into private rooms and turned its lessons into small changes: a phone call more often, a hand reached out sooner. They discovered how a single honest sentence could alter the tone of an entire household. The palace staff spoke often of how she had stopped to fix a young page's collar before an official dinner, and how that memory now seemed to explain the tenderness in the letter. "She taught us by example," one long-serving attendant said. "Her compassion was not performance, it was habit." Not every wound healed. The letter did not promise erasure of past pain, but it invited a different path: to live in a way that honored both sorrow and joy, to choose mercy where anger might be easy. For many elderly women, reading the letter felt like permission to be imperfect, to request forgiveness, to still ask to be loved wholly. It helped them say things they had deferred for years, and to call relatives with a softer voice. In gardens across the country, women planted simple roses in her memory, not grand monuments, but living things that would bloom and fade, as all lives do. Neighbors would exchange cuttings and recipes, and in that exchange the world felt a little more neighborly. A small museum set aside a shelf of letters and tea-sets in the corner, a modest tribute to a woman who had preferred human warmth to royal spectacle. Visitors left notes of thanks and stories of how her words had guided them in quieter moments. Years later, children of those women would find their mothers' annotated copies of the letter tucked into recipe books and hymnals. They would read the marginalia, a small heart drawn beside a sentence, a tear-stained line smudging the ink, and understand how deeply the message had landed. A granddaughter wrote, "I found Nana's copy folded in her shawl. She used to set it beside her chair, the lines underlined where she needed them most. She told me, this taught me to say sorry like it matters." Quote, "The letter became less about the author and more about the life it encouraged, a life of small, steady kindnesses." It reminded people that legacy is not just the marble and the medals, but the patient acts that make a community bearable. At quiet times in the palace, the succeeding generation would sometimes read aloud the last paragraph, voices mingling in the hush. "Let love be your compass," it said, "and let mercy be the map." Those words guided them through public crises and private griefs, through inevitable missteps and the ordinary practice of living together. They learned that a kingdom endures not only by law, but by the love its people choose to give one another. In the end, the last letter did not cure all sorrow. It did something rarer. It taught how to carry sorrow with dignity. It taught that forgiveness can be a lamp in the dark, not a denial of pain, but a steadying light that allows people to walk on. Years passed. The letter's pages yellowed in a quiet archive, but the sentences continued to be read in kitchens and at bedside tables. And in the minds of those who had loved her best, she remained not as an image in ink, but as a presence of warmth and the sound of tea poured carefully at dusk. They spoke her name softly, like a blessing. "May we be as gentle," they would say. "May we stitch our days with care." And so, her story did not end with silence. It lived on in every woman who chose kindness over pride, in every mother who forgave, in every heart that learned to love softly, without fear. She may have left the palace halls behind, but her light still lingers. In the whisper of roses by the window, in the laughter shared over tea, in the small, gentle acts that keep the world kind. Because love, real love, never fades. It simply changes shape, and finds its home in the hearts that remember her. Crown, let love be your compass, and let mercy be your map. If this story of Princess Diana touched your heart, please give it a gentle like, and subscribe to our channel for more royal memories filled with love, grace, and kindness. Crown, Princess Diana taught us that compassion never fades. If her story inspired you today, please like this video and subscribe to stay part of our royal family. Sparkling heart, thank you for watching this story of love and forgiveness. A kind like and a simple subscribe will help us keep her light shining for generations to come. Dove, Diana believed in love, forgiveness, and the beauty of a gentle heart. If you feel the same, please like this video and subscribe. Let's keep her spirit alive together. Rose, from all of us who still remember her smile, thank you for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe to celebrate Princess Diana's everlasting grace.